Today I have for you some exciting Dollar Tree DIYs you are going to love. On this beautiful sunny day, we're headed to Dollar Tree to find some fall crafting supplies. My kiddos love joining me, and we're going to start with this wood blank. I find these all the time at the crafting section at Dollar Tree. They come small ones, and this one's on the larger side. I'm going to remove everything from it, and I'm just going to give it a quick light sand to remove any splinters or roughness, and then dust it really well. I'm going to give it one coat of Waverly chalk paint in the white, and then I'm going to let it fully dry. On my trip to Dollar Tree, I found this cute little pumpkin patch caramel apple sign. It had this beautiful farmhouse truck. I just absolutely love the color and the style. So we're not going to do anything to the actual design of it, except we are going to update the pumpkins that are on it. I wanted to have more of a 3D look. I'm sure you see some creators do something similar to this. So I'm just going to grab some of my foam pumpkins from Dollar Tree and just start looking for ones that kind of match the size and style of the original ones on the truck. A serrated knife is the best one I've used to cut through these foam pumpkins. They go right through it. I'm going to cut the back of this larger one as well as a little bit of the bottom to give it that flat look that it's going to make it look like it's inside the truck. I'm going to do the same thing with some smaller ones, again, to create that effect and have a flat side where we can hot glue them to the truck here in a little bit. I am going to paint a couple of them just to brighten them up and also add some colors that I think will look really good and complement the arrangement. The white one I am going to brighten up a little bit with some Waverly white chalk paint, and then one of the smaller ones I am going to paint blue. I'm going to drill and just whiten the hole that was already on one side of the plank, and I am going to drill another one to match on the other side. This is so that we can hang the sign later on. Dollar Tree carry these window clings that are just absolutely beautiful to work with. They work on plastic, they work on glass, and actually work on tin as well. Now, they don't work on wood, so I am going to Mod Podge it to the board, and I'm not going to add any Mod Podge to the top. I'm just going to add it to the bottom, and of course, I want to flatten it and remove any bubbles that I may see. Now it's time to add some of the pumpkins onto the truck. I'm just going to hot glue the larger one, then add the smaller one to the sides. Of course, the blue one looks so cute there. It doesn't matter if you see some of the design because we're going to cover it up using some florals from Dollar Tree as well as a pine cone. I almost forgot to add the stems to my pumpkins, so I'm going to do that here real quick. I'm just going to grab a stick from the outside, just cut it into smaller pieces and just press it right on top of each pumpkin. This is going to add texture and more of a rustic, realistic look. I'm also going to add some of these little neutral color berries that you can find at Dollar Tree. This one was part of a pick, but you can find them separate as well. I'm just going to hot glue one towards the bottom of the arrangement, and again, that little pine cone to finish it off. Now it's time to just add the truck to the side of the plank, and it's just going to finish it off so nicely. Of course, we're going to add the jute string, and look how stunning it looks. I placed that on top of this cutting board that I already had on hand. I love the way they look on the cutting board, and I just think it looks stunning. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take this galvanized tin pumpkin that I got at Dollar Tree Plus for $5. Be careful with the galvanized tin. I did cut myself as the edges are very sharp, so be careful. I'm going to use this little crate just to create some heights, and then I'm going to paint the pumpkin using Waverly chalk paint in the moss. I love this color, and I love how it really made all that texture from the pumpkin really stand out. I'm going to use some of this Dixie Belle wax. If you don't have wax, you can certainly use paint. This is just something I already had on hand. I'm going to start just applying it on the details of the pumpkin. This is going to make everything a little bit more textured, character, as well as like more of a 3D effect. So I'm going to do all the creases, all the edges, and then I'm going to move on to a brown wax just to add a little bit more dimension. I'm going to take some of this foam from Dollar Tree and I'm going to cut about a 1/2 inch piece, and then I'm just going to hot glue it to the bottom of the base. This is going to give me a little bit more support so when we start adding flower arrangements. I'm going to start with these beautiful sunflowers I recently got at TJ Maxx. They have a home goods section. It was from their summer collection, so it was on clearance for $8. These are stunning, absolutely beautiful. So I'm just going to cut one of the flowers. I'm actually going to use the leaves first. I'm going to use the leaves as my base. I love creating a base for any arrangement that I am making to start with. So I'm just going to hot glue as well as just press them right onto the foam. And I'm going to place the larger one on one side and the two smaller ones on the other side. Again, this is going to give me a nice base. I'm going to start using some Dollar Tree florals now. Their florals right now at Dollar Tree are just absolutely beautiful. These leafy ones are really easy to work with. I'm just going to grab a couple branches and stick them right in. This is going to give me fullness as well as add some beautiful fall colors. The red ones actually allow that sunflower to really pop and bring everything together. I'm going to cut the entire stem off of the sunflower and hot glue it right on the center. Dollar Tree does have some beautiful sunflowers. You can also add that one as well. I'm going to add a couple of pumpkins to the arrangement just to kind of add a little bit more texture and character. And then these little neutral color berries, once again, I'm just going to add a couple, one to each side. And that's it. This one is one of my favorites. It's so stunning. It's beautiful. Love the colors and it looks so high end.
If you are enjoying this video so far, make sure you take a second and give me a thumbs up. A thumbs up really helps my channel grow and it helps this video reach more people.
For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take this little lantern I recently found at the Crafter Square section at Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove everything from it, including the little jute string, because we're not going to need it. What's cute about this little lantern, it actually turns on, and it is so stinking cute. I'm going to brighten it up. I'm just going to give the outside one coat of Waverly chalk paint in the white. Friends, I would love to connect with you on social media. I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook, so check my pages out. They are linked down below, and of course, say hi. I am not going to take that little wooden crate that you can find at Dollar Tree all the time, and I'm going to give it one coat of Waverly chalk paint in the moss. Again, that beautiful green color, and I'm going to do the inside as well as the outside. And then I'm going to take that wax again, and I'm just going to distress it just a little bit using a stenciling brush. Again, if you don't have wax, you can always use paint and dry brush it on. I'm going to do all the sides, the back as well as the inside, just to get a little bit more character and a little bit more of a farmhouse look. This DIY here is one of the simplest ones you'll ever made. It's so easy, anyone can do it. But the way I arranged it and the way I use things that I already had at home will make it look really high end. I'm going to use a couple of these pumpkins from Target Dollar Spot as well as this flower from Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove the little clip from it. These are just things that I'm just going to start adding to create more of a vignette that looks high end. This knob is from a drawer that I flipped a long time ago. I'm just going to add it right on top of the little lantern. This little cutting board is from Home Goods. Again, it's from TJ Maxx, and I just love it. I find these, they're like $9, sometimes $13. They're not bad, and to have them on hand to create vignettes and to make things look more high-end is such a good idea. So I always have them on hand, and I use them season after season. I'm just going to add all these little pumpkins, florals right onto it, and again, things I already had at home with all of these Dollar Tree items just makes it look so high-end. I absolutely love the way this one turned out. Neutral colors, but of course you can use any color you want for fall. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take this frame from Dollar Tree. Again, one of those things where the size, the color is beautiful, but the design is not really my style. We're going to turn it into a beautiful fall decor. This wood tone on the frame is absolutely perfect. You can darken it up if you want. You can paint it if you want. I happen to really love this tone, so I'm going to leave it just like this. I'm going to remove the little clips, and they come off really easily using some pliers, and then the design comes right off. It's just like a picture frame. I'm going to take this little velvet pumpkin from Dollar Tree. It has this beautiful hunter green color to it, and I just thought it would be perfect for this frame. I'm going to find a place where I know I want to hot glue it, and I'm just going to add some hot glue and place it right on top. That being said, the pumpkin did fall off of it, so I would use something stronger than hot glue, maybe some E6000, and that'll work perfectly. This is another flower from Dollar Tree, beautiful color. I think it complements that green perfectly. I'm going to remove it from the clip, And I'm just going to dry fit it onto the frame, and I'm just going to flip it so you can see what I'm looking for. I want to know where the flower touches the frame, so then I know where to add hot glue, and then it attaches nicely. That way you're not over hot gluing it, and it's just going to attach nicely. So that's just a little trick I learned. So I'm just going to place it right there to the left hand of the pumpkin. I'm going to use one of these galvanized words. They come in a pack of 3 at Dollar Tree. I'm going to use the harvest one, and I'm just going to place it. Now I will tell you, please place this before you place the pumpkin and the flower, because it became really hard. So I should have done this part first. I'm going to kind of mark where the galvanized word touches the frame, and then add hot glue and place it. And then be careful, because the galvanized tin does get really hot with the hot glue. This is a knotty cutting board that I got at Target from the Hearth and Stone section. This one was a little bit more. It was about $19.99, but a great size, great quality, and perfect for decor season after season. I'm going to show you how I would stage it. I'm just going to place it right there. Place a couple of these acorns, little pumpkins from Target Dollar Spa. Nothing expensive, nothing extravagant, just beautiful little details. And all of this beautiful Dollar Tree supplies turned into this gorgeous high-end looking fall decor that I absolutely love. Jump right in. These 3 wooden pumpkins I got at the Dollar Tree for $1.25 each. For 2 of them, I'm going to remove the stem, and I'm going to leave it in real time here so you can see how easy it is to remove. I'm just going to use my blade knife, score it a couple of times, and then snap it off. I'll do the same thing to the second one, and then sand it off smooth. So what we're going to do with these 3 pumpkins is we're going to create a large pumpkin. So I'm going to take 2 of them, the 2 without the stem, place them in the back, hot glue them together. And then I'm going to take the 3rd one and just place it right on top in the center, a little bit higher than the other ones. This is going to make a really large pumpkin, and it's just going to be a lot more grand. So I'm just going to hot glue again the top one right on top. And then it's time to get messy. I love using caulk to add texture. If you followed me for a while, you know that I love doing this. This caulk is from Dollar Tree. Yes, $1.25 for this caulk. I'm just going to put quite a bit on and then start spreading it. The goal right now is to get everything covered. And then once I have everything covered, I'm going to take my fingers and just kind of swipe in a more circular motion to give it that round effect like a pumpkin. I placed it right in front of a fan, and it dried up pretty quickly. So once it was dry, I'm just going to give it 1 coat of Waverly chalk paint in the white. And I'm going to take a quick second here and just show you that texture, that beautiful texture. And it also crackled a little bit, which is even better. I love when I can get a texture like this because it makes everything look much more high-end and custom. I'm going to take some of this Waverly antiquing wax and a small brush, and I'm just going to start highlighting and antiquing all those edges and just adding a few more lines here and there to create a little bit more of texture and character. The distress was a little bit too dark for me, so I am going to mute it down a little bit with a dry rag, and then I'm going to take a little bit of white paint and mute them down even more so that they're more of a detail instead of a sharp, dark line. And this worked really, really well. So now that we have a large pumpkin, we need a large stem. So I'm going to take some aluminum foil, and I'm going to start placing it right on the stem. The first one is the hardest one to place on, but once you have it on, it's a matter of just start scrunching it. And then I want it to be thick on the bottom and they get thinner as it goes up. And I'll keep adding aluminum foil until I have the thickness and the length that I want. Once I had it, then I had to twist it and turn it into the shape that I wanted it to look like. I love using this technique. I haven't used it in a while. And now it's time to cover it up with some burlap ribbon. You don't have to use burlap. You can use whatever you have on hand. But I think just the burlap is going to give it that farmhouse look that I'm looking for this pumpkin. So I'm just going to wrap it around over and over again until it's covered. And I'm just going to secure it in the back with hot glue. My friends, if I mentioned that I got something on Amazon, chances are it is on my Amazon store, which is always linked down below. In there, you'll find all of my favorite items from Amazon. And if you follow me there as well, you'll be notified anytime I add any new items. So check it out. It is linked down below. Now that I have the entire stem covered, I'm just going to add one more on the bottom. This is just to finish it off and give it a clean look. And again, we're just going to secure it in the back with hot glue, and that's it. I love how this stem turned out. So now that we have a stem that matches the size of the pumpkin, we're going to start adding some florals. I'm going to add a couple of these magnolia leaves that I have left over from other projects. I love these magnolia leaves because they're large, they're very vibrant, and they're very good quality. I think I got these at Hobby Lobby a while ago, and I had a pick left over, and I've been pulling from it ever since. I'm going to add some of these Dollar Tree florals. I'm just going to keep adding them right underneath the stem there until I see what I like. And I love this pumpkin. It's definitely my favorite from today, which is why I have it first, but you're going to have to let me know what you think. I know it's more of a neutral tone, but remember, you can paint the pumpkin any color you want. Love it. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take this Thankful and Blessed pumpkin. I'm going to remove everything from it, and then I am going to sand it down just a little bit because it does have a bit of glitter on top. You cannot see it on the camera, but it's there. Sanding it down makes it so much easier. I use my electric sander, but you can certainly use a sanding block from Dollar Tree if that's what you have. Once it's completely sanded down, I do wipe it down really, really well because a lot of that tint from the design does come off, so I want to make sure that no dust is in it. To paint it, I'm going to paint it in this Midnight Blue by Amy Howard at Home Paint. I get it from A Maker Studio, and the link is down below in the description box. I'm going to give it 2 coats. Speaking of A Maker Studio, these reusable stencils, they carry and they are wonderful to work with. I have this one. I've already used it for another project, but I thought it would be perfect for this one. I'm going to remove it just like a sticker and place it right on top of my pumpkin. Then I'm going to press down on it, making sure that it's stuck on it. So you just want to treat it just like a sticker, except it is reusable. So once you're done, you can just wash it and reuse it again. I'm going to use this chalk art ink by A Maker Studio. It's in the white, and I'm just going to use their squeegee and squeegee it on all over the design. It's so easy. I'm telling you, if I can do it, you can do it. So once I had the entire pumpkin covered, I removed the stencil to reveal the beautiful design, and let me tell you, it is breathtaking. I loved it. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, I loved it. I let it dry fully, of course, and then now it's time to add a little bit of embellishments. I had this leftover ribbon. It's like a burlap ribbon, and you could tell that it's a leftover one because it's all curled up. I'm going to use it. I'm going to scrunch it up in the middle, tie it into a bow. Very simple, and tie it with some jute string. I'm going to angle cut the ends so that they look nice and neat, and then just hot glue it to the top of the pumpkin. Now I'm going to take these little blue balls. They're like a pick that you can get at Dollar Tree currently in the fall section. I'm just going to cut off 2 pieces and then just place it right underneath while the glue is still a little soft. And then I'm going to place this Dollar Tree flower right on top. I think it looks gorgeous with the design. This one's my favorite too. I just love them all. I love the color. I love that stencil design. And guess what? I can use it over and over again. Love it. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take this blue Grateful pumpkin and remove everything from it. I did try to salvage the Grateful, but it didn't do very well, so I just removed it completely and I had to toss it. And then I did remove some paper from it. And we're going to spray it with these Elmer's adhesive spray right on top. And then we're going to place this fabric that you can actually find at Dollar Tree. Recently, I did an entire video doing fall DIYs using these fabric bundles. So check it out. It is linked down below. Once I had it covered, I'm just going to cut off the excess using my X-Acto knife. I wanted to cover the stem using this nautical rope from Dollar Tree, so I'm just going to start in the front with hot glue, wrap it around, secure it in the back, and then completely wrap it around, hot gluing in the front as needed. I'm now going to take one of these little smaller wooden pumpkins that come in a pack. I love these. You can use these for garlands or any other DIY. I'm going to fill in the little hole using some of this spackle that you can get at Dollar Tree as well. Once it was covered, I did paint it white using Waverly chalk paint in the white. And once it was dry, I did add one of these beautiful stickers that you can find at Dollar Tree. It has a very farmhouse look to it. I'm going to find one that fits really well right in front and just right on it place it. I'm going to cut off some of this foam from Dollar Tree and place it right behind the little pumpkin and hot glue it to the main pumpkin towards the left bottom side. And now I'm just going to add some florals. I'm going to add again some of those leaves that are just beautiful right there on the left hand corner. And then these are some leaves that you can find currently at Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut off a couple of branches and place them right in. I am then going to cut a couple of these beautiful bright, it's like a coral color, and they're from Dollar Tree, and just place them right there. I did add jute string to the back to be able to hang it, but look how stunning this pumpkin looks completely new, completely different, and so inexpensive to make. I love it. DIY, I am going to take this very simple Hello Fall sign from the Dollar General. It was $1, and we are going to give it a brand new look that's going to look like it came from a boutique. I'm going to remove everything from it, which is basically just the little the little hanging wire there with the beads, and we're going to keep them because we're going to put them right back on it. Now I'm going to take the Waverly chalk paint and the moss, and I'm going to give it 2 coats. I let it fully dry, and now I'm going to add one of these thankful wooden words from Hobby Lobby. They came a little bundle of like 8 of them, and I'm going to hot glue it right kind of like towards the top with a little bit of a tilt to it. We're going to take this pumpkin, and at first I thought I'll cut it with the scissors, but using the serrated knife worked beautifully. So now we're going to hot glue that to the bottom of the pumpkin, and then we're going to add the little moss ball. This is it for this one. I love the way this one turned out. Such a small version of it. Dollar Tree carries these in a similar size, and I just love the colors. I love how simple it is to add to any decor. Stunning. Again, another one so easy. I'm going to use this $3 wooden pumpkin. It also brought these stencils that I thought were pretty cute. We're going to keep them for another project. We're going to remove the portion of the top, like the little string, jute twine string, but we're going to remove it very carefully because I do want to reuse it again. Once I had it removed, I am going to give it 2 coats of that beautiful blue from Rust-Oleum milk paint. Once it was dry, it's time to just stress it a little bit because it has that beautiful black tone underneath. So I'm just going to focus on the edges and a little bit here and there on the center because we are going to make look a little pumpkin, just a little pumpkin sign that you can place on a wall somewhere. I'm going to take this magnolia leaf that I already had on a pick. It was left over. I'm going to hot glue it towards the right side of the pumpkin. And then I'm going to cut a couple of these little branches from this Target Dollar Spot pick, and I'm going to start placing them facing one each way. And we're just going to make a little arrangement here on the top of this pumpkin using hot glue. And then we're just going to start adding a little one of those pumpkins that, again, from the Target dollar spot, right in the center. These little yellow something or other, I'm not sure what they're called. I got them at Walmart during the summer season, but I thought the yellow would look really great to just add a little bit of pop of color. So I'm just going to place two of them, one longer than the other. And then these little acorns and little pine cones, I got at Hobby Lobby in a huge little packet. Brought a ton of them. I'm just going to hot glue several of them, as well as a larger pine cone from Hobby Lobby, just to kind of fill it up and just add a little bit more texture. And we're just about done with this one. Now, this one, of course, I didn't get at Dollar Tree, but you can do this design on any of them from Dollar Tree. You can use any color you want. I did replace back on the jute string, but I think this one turned out absolutely beautiful. That color, these tones are so in for fall. They're just stunning. Love them. Basket is stunning. I'm sure you've seen them while you were at Dollar Tree, and I'm so excited to find one. I actually found this rectangle one as well as a round one, but we're going to start with this one, and I'm just going to take this floral foam from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut a piece off of it that's the same width or the same height as the basket. I am then going to poke a couple of holes using my screwdriver, but you can use whatever you have on hand, and this is so that we can place one zip tie so that we can attach it to the basket. I thought this would be the best way to attach it. That way we can put all of our florals right on the foam. Because the basket is pretty much see-through all around, I did want to add some of this Spanish moss all around the edges as well as the top of it. That way it'll be covered up, and when we place florals, we're not worried about seeing that white foam. So I'm just going to add a couple of drops here and there of hot glue and just place the moss all around it. And then it's time to start placing some florals. I'm going to start with this eucalyptus pick that I get at Walmart. A lot of times these are more bang for your buck when you get them at Walmart, so don't be afraid to pay them a visit and check their floral section out. So I'm just going to place some of these picks all over the foam. It looks kind of crazy right now, but it'll take shape. These little sunflowers I'm obsessed with Dollar Tree. I love them. I just feel like they're so high-end looking and so large. So I'm just going to place one right in the middle, right there in the front. And then these leafy picks, I love. They add so much color, and they're just great fillers when you're doing any arrangement. So I'm just going to place them all around, as well as these little orange ones. And I'm just going to start placing here and there. All of these are from Dollar Tree except for the eucalyptus pick, but all of these are from Dollar Tree, so yay for that. All right, this little foam pumpkin, of course, you've seen them. I'm going to use the bottom portion of this pick just so that I have something to place underneath the pumpkin so that I can then place it right on the foam. I poked a hole, added some hot glue, placed the little pick there, and then I'm going to be able to just stick it right onto the foam, and it'll be nice and secure. And I did the same thing with the smaller one. And that's about it for this one. I gotta tell you, it's definitely one of my favorites. I love this as an alternative to a regular wreath. It will look great on a front door. I absolutely love it. This next Dollar Tree DIY, I love this wreath form. It is already golden tone, which is beautiful just as is if you wanted to leave it, but we are going to be covering it up with this fabric. This fabric little bundle is from Dollar Tree. You can find these currently with different designs and different colors. Recently, I did a video with all kinds of these fabrics and how you can use them for different crafts, so check it out. I'll have it linked down below. I cut the piece into several strips of the fabric, and then I'm just going to start hot gluing it all around the wreath form, making sure that it's overlapping one with each other so that it's the entire thing it's covered. What if we run out of time and second chances, empty-handed? At the end, you just want to make sure that the part that you are going to be hot gluing at the end, it's going to be the part where you're going to be placing any decorations or florals, or you can just make sure that it ends on the back side. This little home decor sign is so stinking cute. I got it at Dollar Tree, but the little greenery could have seen better days. So I removed the whole thing as best as I could. And then I'm going to take this little wreath form. It's like a grapevine one. It's tiny. It's so small. I get them on Amazon, but I'm sure you can find them at Michael's. I have not seen them at Dollar Tree, but it's really cute and they're very versatile. I'm going to take these little green boxwood that I also get on Amazon. I'm just going to start placing them. And what I'm doing is I am placing the bottom portion of the boxwood pick. And then the top one, I'm removing the little greenery from it so that I have a pointy side. And then I'm going to thread that through the wire of the wreath form, and then putting back that little greenery on top. That way, it just has a round look. I'm going to place some of these orange flowers from a Dollar Tree and just place them all around. Again, all facing towards the same side. And I'm going to leave it like this. I'm not going to add too much because it is a small wreath. And I want to make sure that it's not going to be overly packed with decor. But I thought this was perfect. I'm not going to do anything to the actual home part of it, like the HME, because it looks actually really good against the yellow of the wreath form. So I'm just going to hot glue by adding hot glue right where the home meets the fabric, and that's it for this one. I did add some ribbon to the top so that we can hang the wreath. Now you know that if you put any florals on one side of the wreath, you do have to make sure that the ribbon is placed where it needs to be, not necessarily in the center, because it will tilt on you. So there's what I'm doing here right now. I'm just making sure that I have the ribbon where it needs to be. I'm going to secure it with hot glue and make sure that I have enough so that we can hang on a door or on a wall or wherever we want to place this one. But I gotta say, I love this wreath. I love that it's different, and I love that pretty much everything came from Dollar Tree except for the little tiny boxwood. But of course, you can use any greenery from Dollar Tree, and even the ribbon is from there. I love it. Next Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to start with this little farmhouse pumpkin truck. I love the actual truck. Believe it or not everything from Dollar Tree needs to be painted over and needs to be redone. Now, I know I do it. I've created a career out of it. However, this truck, I think it really needs to stay the way it is. I love the colors. I love all the shadowing. But the pumpkins I'm going to remove. So we're going to just use my blade knife. We're going to score it a couple times. Then we're going to snap it. And of course, we're going to sand it down to make sure it is nice and smooth. So just make sure you follow the lines. That way you know where you're cutting. Once it's sanded down and smooth, I am going to then add this little crate. This little crate I recently updated for another DIY in a previous video. I just painted it with Waverly chalk paint in the moss. And then I distressed it by dry brushing some wax, some white wax all over it. I had a leftover and I thought it would be perfect size to hot glue to the back of the truck. It's going to give the illusion of the pickup truck, the bed of the truck. And we're just going to put it towards the back. Now, it also serves as a way of the truck standing up, kind of. And I think you're going to know what I mean. I just really love the way it turned out. I'm going to hot glue a piece of foam right inside of it. This is going to keep it secure, but also give me something where I can place the florals in. And we're going to just add florals. This one, I'm going to keep it in the neutral tones because the truck itself has those beautiful red tones. I think adding some neutral florals will really work well. So I'm just going to start with some boxwood and then add some fall decor from Dollar Tree. I did the same thing with this foam pumpkin. I took a piece of scrap wired stem from another piece of florals and I just hot glued it to the end, to the bottom of it, and that way it gives me something to place it. And we're just about done with this one. I love the way this one turned out. It is such a simple way to update this truck. I think the truck again is just beautiful as is, but adding all these florals and pumpkins just really took it to a whole new level. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, and probably my favorite from today, is this pumpkin, this wired pumpkin wreath form. You can find at Dollar Tree, again, for $1.25. And of course, this is another one of those fabric little bundles that I got. And I'm just going to place it in between each wire form. This is going to give me the bottom one is going to be the one where it's covered, and then the top one is going to give it that pumpkin look because it has those wires coming down. I'm going to start hot gluing the fabric around the one on the bottom to secure it in place. And I'm going to start one end, and then I'm going to hot glue the opposite side so that I can stretch it and be able to have a nice stretched fabric in the front. And I'm going to do that all around the wreath form.
What if we run out of time and second chances, empty-handed?
Once I was done hot gluing the fabric, I'm just going to cut off the excess. That way it looks nice and clean. Although you're not going to see this portion of it, I just want it to be clean a little bit. So I'm just going to cut it. And then we're going to add some zip ties so that we can bring together both wreath forms. I'm going to use my little weeding tool from Cricut, but if you have anything pointed, you can do that. You just want to poke a hole on the fabric, and then you want to thread the zip tie right through, cut the excess, and you want to flip that pointy, sharp side towards the inside of the wreath form. That way it's not going to scratch anything or anyone. And I'm going to do that on both top and bottom and sides as well. Once it was secure, it's time to add a stem to it. So I'm just going to add some of this nautical rope from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to hot glue it all around until it meets on top, and then the excess rope on top, I'm just going to thread it right down the middle. All right, so we're just about done wrapping these stems. So it's time to add some florals, but the best way that I can think of doing that is by, again, adding some floral foam right onto the bottom of the stem. I just cut off a little piece of this round one. I'm going to hot glue it to the stem, but I'm also going to attach it using zip ties to the actual wreath form and then cut the excess off. This is going to give me a nice strong foam that I can place the florals, and it's not going to go anywhere. I'm thinking about keeping this one for myself and adding it to my front door during the fall season. So I wanted to make sure that it's nice and secure to be outside. I added some boxwood again that I get on Amazon. And again, here's one of those sunflowers from Dollar Tree. This is a different color one I love. I'm going to add hot glue and stick it right there in the middle of the arrangement. And then it's time to add some picks here and there. This pick is from Dollar Tree, and it is a cotton stem one. I'm just going to use the pine cones portion of it, and I'm just going to add some other picks from Dollar Tree. So we're just about done. I'm just going to add a couple of these leafy fall leaves from Dollar Tree just to add fullness and color to the top of this pumpkin wreath. And I gotta tell you, this turned out absolutely stunning. It's definitely one of my favorites from today, if not my favorite. I love the colors. I love how versatile and large this pumpkin wreath form is. Highly recommended. You should give it a try. I love the style and I love the colors, but we're actually going to do something completely different with them today. We are going to tape the stem first of all, because we are going to paint them. We are going to turn them from pumpkins to apples. And I think they look like apples too, don't you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think this can easily be turned into pumpkins? Let me know. All right, let's see if I can do it. So I'm going to paint one of them, actually two of them, with this Farmhouse Red by Rust-Oleum Chalk Paint. And I'm going to do again two. And then the other one I'm going to paint in a green to make it look more like a green apple. While those dry, I'm going to take this little wagon. I love this little one. I used it actually for a different DIY, and then it never sold, and I just thought I'm going to keep it around because why not? I got it at the Target dollar spot, so I'm just going to grab some foam here. This is floral foam from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to hot glue it to the inside. Now I'm going to take some Spanish moss. I'm just going to cover up that foam and just make it look nice and full. Then I'm going to take some of this eucalyptus picks. This is just ones I already had here, extra from other DIYs. And I'm just going to start placing them all around to make it look very greenery. And then it's time to start adding the apples. But first we got to, of course, remove the tape. And we want to take off the stem because I want to give it a larger stem. So I'm going to cut the pick at the bottom, and I'm going to use that as stems, and I'm just going to add some hot glue and then add as a stem, and this is going to be larger and you're going to be able to see it more. I think it turned out super cute, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other two. Then of course we want to add some leaves because apples, I feel like they look more like apples if they have leaves. So I'm going to take these leftover leaves from other picks and hot glue them next to the stems. Now it's time to start adding them to the arrangement. I'm just going to start adding them. Some taller ones are going to be towards the back, and then some shorter ones are going to be towards the front. And then I'm just going to add different types of florals to just give it a little bit more of a fall look. And you're going to have to let me know what you think of this one. Some of these cream florals are from Dollar Tree. They come in a larger pick. I just cut them off and I just started placing them everywhere as fillers just to make it look a lot more fuller. I'm going to take this little chalk little sign that comes from Dollar Tree. They come in a little pack of several of them, and I think it turned out super stinking cute. I love it. I think they totally look like apples, but let me know in the comments what you think. The next Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to start with this thrifted grapevine wreath form. You could tell that it's been thrifted. It had some old decor and I just ripped it off. But you know me, I love using these wreath form because they're at a fraction of the cost and you can totally redo them for any other season. I'm going to take two of these fern picks from Dollar Tree. They're actually one of my favorites from Dollar Tree. I'm going to take two of them. The first one I'm just going to place towards the left side of the wreath form, facing up. I'm going to then arrange the ferns kind of like where I want to see them. And then I'm going to add a second one right underneath. This is going to give me a good base to start with the floral arrangement. Then I'm going to take some of these orangey ones, again from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to start applying them, hot gluing them where I see it needs it. I'm also going to start adding some of these cranberry picks. I love these, also from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to start placing them here and there, again with some hot glue. And then to finish it off, I thought about adding a bow, but sometimes I like to stay away from bows. And I'm just going to add a pop of color right in the center. This little yellow flower came from a larger pick from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to hot glue it right in the center. That way it just has that pop of color, and I think it's gorgeous. This home little ladder sign is so cute. I found it recently at Dollar Tree, and I just knew I wanted to do something with it. But I actually liked the way it looked. I love the wood tone, and the home in the black I think looks really good. So I thought, why not place it on a wreath form? And that way it just takes this wreath to a whole new level, and it's really easy to attach. I'm going to place it right next to the flower arrangement. Now the portion that is kind of underneath the flowers, I'm going to attach it using some wire. But on the opposite side, I'm just going to hot glue it so that you don't see that wire there just hanging. A little bit of hot glue goes a long way. And besides, it's also attached with the wire. But look how beautiful, high-end this thrifted wreath form looks using Dollar Tree items to get it there. Here is a super quick and easy DIY you can do. We're going to take two of these bamboo rings that you can get at Dollar Tree in their crafting section. They come two in a pack, a larger one and a smaller one. I'm going to take jute string and I'm going to loop it on one end, and then I'm just going to wrap it around to join both rings together. But I'm not going to tighten it very tight. I'm going to actually leave it a little bit loose because we're going to be adding some florals in between. So I want to have some space to be able to put it in. So I'm just going to cut off the excess jute string, and as you can see, nice and flexible. All right, so now we're going to start adding florals. We are going to take this Dollar Tree pick. It's a fall theme, and it's actually one of my favorites because it has quite a bit of variety of style. It has a pine cone, orange florals, and it's just beautiful. I'm going to take a couple of these magnolia leaves that I have left over. I have used them over and over again. I love these leaves. And I'm just going to put a couple as my base and hot glue it to the inside of that jute string. And I'm going to do the other one right on top. Again, this is going to be a nice base for me to start adding the rest of the florals.
Every change has a reason. Baby, let it come to you. Every soul,
So I'm going to finish off the flower arrangement with these just orange ones that came in the same pick. So remind you, this all came from one pick except for the 2 magnolia leaves that I had left over, but you can use any leaf you want or have. I'm going to use some of this red burlap ribbon that I got at Dollar Tree as well. It's about a 20-inch piece. I'm going to tie it in a knot, and then I'm going to hot glue it to the center of the 2 rings where they join, because this is going to be where we can hang it from. And this little tiny wreath is so stinking cute. I love the simplicity of it, how inexpensive and stunning it looks.
and in our abilities. If the passion's gone, we are doing it wrong. Baby, you and I.
For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take this little wood piece sign that you can find them at Dollar Tree all the time. This one is just fall themed, and I love that it says thankful, grateful, blessed. I'm going to keep it very simple and very quick for you. Anyone can do this. You're going to take some greenery. I just happen to have boxwood in here at home, and I just wanted to make it very greenery, very full and festive on top. So I'm going to place that on top, making sure that it's in the center, and then I'm going to staple it. That's how easy this is. Once I had it stapled in place, it's time to add a little bit more embellishments. I'm going to take one of these little white pumpkins. They come with a little pick or a little clip on the bottom. I removed that and hot glued it. Then I'm going to add some leaves and some other pumpkins to just add more festive decor on it.
Every change has a reason.
And like I said, I'm just going to add one more little pumpkin and we're about done. Such a beautiful and so easy. I am telling you, you can do this. Such an easy decor you can place anywhere in your home. Beautiful.
If we stop believing we're meant to be, expanding our abilities.
For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to start with this summer sign that I made this summer. You know I love taking old decor, things that maybe don't sell, or maybe things that I had at home that I just don't need anymore. This one I used in my summer decor, and I didn't need it anymore. So I'm going to sand down the center of it, make it smooth, and then I'm going to give it 2 coats of Waverly chalk paint in the white, because we're going to start with a nice blank canvas, but it already has this planked look, which I think is beautiful. I'm going to take some Waverly Antiquing Wax. I'm just going to distress the edges, and then I'm going to add some here and there as I'm dry brushing it all around, and you're going to start seeing all those details really pop, giving that like plank look, a really genuine look. Now I'm going to take this pumpkin sign from Dollar Tree. It is a metal one, and I actually think it's kind of cute, but I don't like using Dollar Tree decor just by themselves. I like to use them and recreate them or use them in larger items to make them look bigger and more appropriate sized for the decor. So I flipped the little knots of the jute string so that they are facing forward, and then I'm just going to hot glue the actual sign just a little bit and add 1 screw on top so that it can look like it's hanging from this screw. And then I'm going to add some greenery just to hide the screw and also just add some decor on top.
Every change has a reason.
And we're just about done. I love this one. So easy, and if you don't have already a plank look, it's so easy to make, or just find any other sign from Dollar Tree, paint over it, and you have yourself a brand new sign.
Quo. If we stop believing we're meant to be, expanding our abilities.
For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to make a very simple bead garland, and I'm just going to start with this jute string and one of these stitching needles that I love using. I'm going to start creating a pattern. The pattern that I'm creating is I'm going to use 1 brown bead and 3 natural wood beads. You can use any pattern you want. This is just what came to my mind, and I'm going to do this until I have 7 sections of the same pattern.
Every change has
I am now going to take one of these little wooden pumpkins. They come in a pack of 10 at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to give it one coat of this Venetian Yellow by Rust-Oleum milk paint. One coat was sufficient, and I love using milk paint because it almost looks like stain. You can see that wood grain underneath. Then I'm going to take one of these acorns, again from Dollar Tree. They come in a pack of 10 or 8 or 10, and I'm just going to give it one coat of this English boxwood chalk paint by Amy Howard at home.
baby, let it come to you. Every soul, every season lives outside of status quo.
I'm going to lightly distress the yellow pumpkin using the antiquing wax and just lightly going over the edges and a little bit on top. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the acorn, except it's going to be with white chalk paint.
If we stop believing we're meant to be, expanding our abilities.
Now I'm going to add the 2 pieces to the bottom of the bead garland, and I'm going to knot first 2 knots at the end of one side. Then I'm going to add the pumpkin. This is going to add me a little bit of separation from the wood bead to the pumpkin and give me a little bit more movement. Then I'm going to add 1 knot in between the pumpkin and the acorn for the same reason. And then I'm just going to take the other string and just tie it, make a simple bow, not a bow, a knot, and then remove the excess jute string, and that's it for this one. I am telling you, this is something anyone can do. You can do this one. It's so easy, so inexpensive, and it adds a touch of beautiful decor to any style in your home.
Hold that heartbeat. We could stay or we could leave. There is no
These plain white pumpkins, they're foam, and I just thought they were just a nice white canvas to do whatever we want with it. Now I'm not going to do too much to it, but I am going to remove the little stem from the top first using my X-Acto knife. Now looking back, I think I should have made it a little smaller, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. But I'm just going to give it one coat of Waverly chalk paint in the white. Yes, it is white and the pumpkin is white, but this is going to give it a little bit more of a matte look and less feeling and looking like foam. So I'm just going to give it one coat of this white. Then I'm going to take this one Waverly, it's like a creamy color, and I'm just going to start highlighting all the dents. So all those lines going down on the pumpkin, I'm just going to go up and down these lines first, nothing major, and then I'm going to add a little bit more on the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to take the same brush with a very little bit of paint to dry brush and soften these lines all around the pumpkin. This is just going to give it dimension and a little bit more color. Then I'm going to take this gray, this is by Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the country gray, and I'm going to just add dimension to the top, the bottom, and then all over the pumpkin again for a little bit more character and dimension. Here's the stem that I'm going to use. This is just a piece of wood that I found outside. I cut it to the size that I needed. But again, the hole is a little too big. So I should have made the hole a little smaller, and I think the stem would have fit better, a little snugger. But nonetheless, I just added a whole ton of glue and it worked really well. So once I had it attached, it's time to add some florals. I want to keep it beautifully, very fall-like. And these fall florals from Dollar Tree are just stunning this year. I just love all the colors, so vibrant. These green ones are just very simple and very neutral to match the style of the pumpkin. I'm just going to start placing some of them around the stem. And then I'm going to use a red pick that I found at Dollar Tree, very high-end looking. I'm going to cut a few pieces off of it and just place it right in between.
You had me at hello. 'Cause where you go is
And we're
where
just about done with this one. I love this one. I love white, and I love that it can be morphed into any decor, and just beautiful colors just look so vibrant against the white. But you're gonna have to let me know what you think.
got me too.
You can ride out all the blue.
For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take another one of these pumpkin wire wreath forms. I'm not going to pretend you haven't seen probably about 1 million of these. I'm going to show you one more way. I'm going to take the wreath form and I'm just going to cover it with this. It's kind of like a sack. I got this from burlapfabric.com and I've had it for so long, and I thought how cool would it be to just cover the pumpkin with this fabric. So I'm just going to do just like you saw me doing last time when I did the one with the blue fabric, and I'm just going to cover all of it, making sure that I'm hot gluing as I go. And the way I do it is I hot glue one end, Then I go on the opposite end and hot glue, and that's what I keep doing. And then I also cut as needed. That way it's going to be more manageable, but I'm not going to tell you it takes very quickly. It actually takes a little time, but once you have it, it looks gorgeous. Now the stem on this pumpkin is very tiny, so I want to make it bigger. I'm going to take a piece of scrap foam core from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to place it underneath the stem and just kind of freehand a nice curvy longer stem. And then using my X-Acto knife, I'm just going to cut it. And then we're going to wrap it with some red burlap ribbon that I got at Dollar Tree this year. I gotta say that ribbon is very beautiful, vibrant, and I hope I find some more for the Christmas season. I am going to attach the stem with hot glue and some duct tape from Dollar Tree. That was all that it needed. It's very light and it's not going to go anywhere. So here I am just going to wrap it all around.
We can leave and run away someday, someday. I've been saving.
All right, so I'm just going to secure it in the back with some hot glue, and that's it for the stem. I'm going to take some foam from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut off a piece of it. I did the same thing with the other pumpkin that I did a few weeks ago, a very small piece, and then I'm going to hot glue it to the bottom of the stem, as well as use some zip ties for a very secure hold. Friends, I want to encourage you to stay till the end of the video. I decorated my mantle for fall this year already, and I have a very short video on what it looked like before and how I transformed it for fall. So stay till the end so you can watch it. Once I had it secure, I'm just going to cut off the excess zip ties, and then it's time to add some greenery. I love starting with a base, some sort of greenery base to get me going. So I'm just going to cut a few pieces of this boxwood and just place it right on the foam, including some hot glue for a very secure bond in case it is used outdoors. So I'm just going to add it all over the place, and then I'm going to take this little potted red flower from Dollar Tree. I didn't like the pot, but I am going to use the flower. I'm just going to cut off some of the stem, hot glue it to the center of the foam there, and this is going to be my main star. And then I'm going to add some more flowers here and there just to fill it in, and that way I'll have a nice finished look. And we're done with this one. Oh my gosh, this is definitely one of my favorites. I love the texture, not necessarily the colors that I use for fall, but I just think these colors are stunning. You're going to have to let me know what you think of this style for this pumpkin. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take this leftover fabric that I got at Dollar Tree. These little bundles, I recently did a video of with just using these, and I had these left over, and I'm just going to use them to make some napkins. You heard me right. I'm going to use them to make some linen napkins. Sometimes you have some people over and you want to make a beautiful tablescape. And I just thought, why not use these fabric that I have left over? Although they're not the same color, they do complement each other very well. I cut them to a similar size, and I'm just going to iron them really quick to make sure they're not as wrinkled. Now I'm going to take this paper roll that I had at home, and I'm just going to cut it directly in half, and then I'm going to cut those two halves in half again. This is going to give me as close as possible to equal sizes and have 4 pieces. Once I have the 4 pieces, we are going to create napkin rings with them. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover them with this nautical rope from Dollar Tree. Now you can cover them sideways like I just showed you there, but that's going to make the middle hole very small. So I decided to cover them long ways, just wrapping it around. And I'm going to start on one end. I want to make sure that the first one I hot glue overlaps the edge just a little bit so that you don't see the carton underneath. And I'm just going to keep hot gluing all the way around until I cover the entire ring. All right, so I am done with the first one, and I did all 4 of them the same exact way. This is what I had left from the nautical rope, so it was actually a really good size for him. All right, so now I'm going to take these leafy green leaves from Dollar Tree. They come in a little baggie, different colors. I'm just going to use the green. Because of my fabric having so much color, I want to keep the napkin rings pretty neutral. So I'm going to hot glue one on top of each napkin ring. Then I'm going to take some of these beige florals from Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove the floral part and the little tiny stem at the bottom, and we're going to hot glue it right on top of each leaf.
can take you anywhere, somewhere we won't be scared.
You will see me flying high.
And I'm going to add the last one here. And recently I did a video using these little tiny pumpkins from Dollar Tree. If you haven't seen it, I'll have a link down below. I had several left over, including these white ones. And I'm just going to hot glue one to each napkin ring facing up. That way, again, it's going to have that nice fall theme, but very neutral to kind of not be too much in competition with the colors of the napkin. And now I'm going to take the napkins and I'm going to fold them into fours. And then I'm just going to slide them each in each napkin.
I got you, and you got me too. I've been saving you.
And we're just about done with this one. I gotta say, I'm kind of loving this one. I love that these napkins, again, they're not the same style, but they definitely complement each other. What a great way to spruce up a fall tablescape.
I need you. Yeah, so call me anytime that you need a favor. Call me anytime I can come and sit in you.
For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to start with this thrifted sign that I got several months ago. I already DIY'd it and I added this home word on top. It didn't do well with selling it, so I'm just going to sand it down and clean it up, and then I'm just going to paint it all over again white. That way we're going to start once again with a nice blank canvas.
You had me at a low, 'cause where you go is where I go.
Once it was nice and dry, we are going to take this felt sunflower from Dollar Tree. It is massive. I loved it and I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. I'm going to remove the tag and we're going to place it right on top because we are going to be spray painting it with this flat brown and this metallic kind of golden tone. I'm going to take it outside and just spray it right on top. I didn't even glue or tape the flower, just kept it right on top. And then I'm going to do the brown first and then I'm going to move on to the golden tone. And this is just going to give it dimension and just a little bit more color to it. And then once it was dry, I brought it in and look how beautiful it looks. I love it. Such a clever way to use this flower. And the cool thing is that you can use the flower in this manner again. So there you go. All right, these decals you know that I love. I have this one that has a Luke 1:17 scripture, and I really like it, but I am going to cut it into several pieces, and I'm just going to flip the one that says make it. So we're going to put the faith first, then we're going to put the possible at the end, and then we're going to flip the make it. Instead of it makes, it's going to say make it, right? Makes it, yes. And then we're going to place the scripture right on top of the possible. And this is it for this one. I love it. Now you can use any color spray paint you want. I wanted to keep it more in the neutral tone with a little bit of pop of that golden tone. But I love how large this sign is and how unique.
You can ride out of the blue.
I wanna do what you want.
Okay, so here we are in my living room. This is my fireplace area, and this is what it looked like pretty much the entire summer. I had a very beachy, very like teals and whites kind of look, which I love. But we're gonna remove everything and then we are going to start placing some fall decorations.
You had me at a low, 'cause where you go is where I go. I don't need nobody else. I got you, and you got me too.
You can ride out of the blue.
I wanna do what you want to. We can leave and run away someday, someday. I've been saving you, and you save me too. Yeah, I need it. Don't you need me too? 'Cause I need you.
All right, friends, not only would I love to hear which DIY is your favorite, but I'd love to know what you think of my fall mantle. I'm in love with it. Everything is fall themed in my home now, and I'm just so happy. Fall is definitely my favorite season. If you are visiting for the first time, welcome! I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you consider joining our YouTube family. And if you are returning, welcome back. I have a playlist and another video here with tons more of inspiration for you. Check them out. I'll see you later and have a blessed day. Bye!